All right. Let me know when you're ready. Yep.
Run. Let it.
Wait, I have to start it over.
Apply.
And I probably should intro it a little bit. So go back to the beginning, if you don't mind. Okay. So this is the constant online debate whether a fat woman is equivalent to a broke man, or whether a fat woman should settle, we should say actually, for a man that has no money. So let's listen to whoever the hell this is and his take on it, and we will discuss. All right, play.
Plus-sized women,
Right.
The word is even difficult to say. Let's just say it.
What did you say? Say
Yes,
exactly what you said.
Fat women.
That
That's
is
what they
the
are.
most
Right.
That's what they are.
Okay. Do you
Fat
really?
women?
Run. Let him speak.
Fat women.
Yes.
I was
Yeah.
simply saying, a fat woman is the equivalent of what a broke dude is.
Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
same.
Okay.
Sorry, Denford,
All right.
I cannot keep quiet.
Yeah. No. Run. We have to be professional.
Okay, but I should be able to respond.
Yeah, but let him finish, then you respond, right?
Yeah.
Let's just have order, because I know you have strong feelings about what he says, and he probably has his own feelings. But let's just have some order. Let him speak, and then you can say. Let's not interrupt him. Then we look like we're fighting, but we're discussing.
Yes, thing. I was saying yes, thing. Why are women allowed to have what they call preferences when it comes to the men they
Right.
would want to date? You hear a woman, she'll say, I want a muscular guy. I want a tall guy. Maybe I want him dark skinned. Maybe I want a yellow boy.
Right.
I want a good looking guy, that everyone is, okay with that. She's allowed to have those preferences.
Right.
And then when a guy says something like this, I just want my woman to be fit and slim.
Right.
Suddenly, he's what? He's a sexist, he's a misogynist, he hates fat women. And I was saying, yes, thing, if we're being honest with each other,
Yeah.
right? The same way you women look at us, people have labeled me a broke nigger.
Right.
And I don't blame them for that. That's what they see. Yes, thing. So what they see when they are looking at a broke nigger,
Right.
that is the same thing we see when we're looking at what? At a plus-sized woman.
That's the most
Okay.
craziest
All
thing
right.
I've
Same
ever heard
thing.
about.
No. Run. You know what I picked up from what he's saying?
No, I actually don't.
What he's actually
I
saying
actually don't know what you've picked up.
makes sense, because people have preferences. There's some people who like plus size women. There's some people who like slim women. There's some people who like. These are facts.
Actually, no. What
What
he
he
said,
just said is facts. I don't know. There's a disconnect
what
somewhere.
What he said was. if
Are you
we go-
saying? Are you talking
So,
in
okay,
terms
can I,
of
can
his
I?
post?
Okay, can I speak?
Now you can
please.
speak, yeah.
What he said was a plus size woman is the equivalent of a broke man. That's what he said. Everything that you're. Please allow me to finish.
Yeah.
Everything in between that is I don't even know what it is. He said his first statement was a plus size woman is the equivalent of a broke man in people's eyes. Not everybody has an issue with men without so much money. Not everybody. So you know what? You are now trying to tailor make it to be here or a here, which is not that.
Okay.
Right? And I think the issue is I have no problem with the person having a type.
Okay.
No problem with the person having a type.
Yes, thank
we are all, please allow me to finish.
Okay.
Everybody has their own individual preferences,
Right.
which is okay. Someone tall, someone short, someone older men, someone younger men. There's nothing wrong with that, right?
Right.
But if we are now, the way you said it is making it seem like plus size women is just bullshit.
Can you just explain what you meant exactly?
Now, can I go on?
Yeah.
Yes, thing. When you're talking about plus-sized women, this word is actually, difficult
Okay,
to
fat
say.
is
I'm going to
is
say fat.
no. You cannot say fat because I'm on the same, and I am a plus size woman because I'm not small. I'm not. You can, and I will. If you say fat,
Okay.
I'm off the show.
Okay. Not to offend you.
Say plus
Not
size
to-
because
okay.
that is what is politically correct.
Why should we be politically correct?
Because this is a show where we are cognizant of the people around us. So you have to say plus size.
Of people's feelings over facts.
If you,
Yes, then,
I'm telling
I
you
would
the
say-
truth in front of
okay,
God.
but yes,
I
then-
will not.
But yes, thing, I
No,
would say
it has nothing to do
I'm a
with
very
it.
tall guy, right? I'm a very tall guy, right? Maybe suddenly, maybe 2 years later, 3 years later, we tall guys or tall people, we finally, develop, how would I say it? A phobia towards being called tall. You are now supposed to use a certain word to describe me.
Fat is not
you're going to be
politically
saying-
correct, period.
Now you're going to be saying, I would
Period.
say, I would want you to describe
We can
me
go back
as,
and forth forever.
I would say vertically or horizontally emancipated or, added something, just to not use the word tall. But is the word tall an insult or it's actually a description of how someone is?
Okay, the word fat, plus size is the same thing. Plus size is the politically correct way, in case you haven't read. Anyway,
Yes,
that is the.
So the next song we're all going to be playing is another song which I want all of you guys, if you know the lyrics, to sing.
Oh yeah, you haven't joined yet. I don't think.
God damn.
You can't say that. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. All right. Well, so do you want to start or should I?
Which, but
I can.
whatever you want.
Okay. So we have the producer in today because we have to have a discussion about this. Unfortunately, the clip was not long enough for them to really get into the meat and potatoes of, no pun intended, what we're talking about. But at the same time, it was enough to at least get us started on this conversation because it is alive and well in these internet streets and probably in the real world too. There are looks and there is money, right? Looks to me will get you into the door, and then kind of personality, in my opinion, kind of carries you through and keeps you there. Whereas money is really just kind of like the door opener, and it keeps the door open so long as money is sustained and available. So I do think it's a false equivalency. However, this is not so much about the reality of how these things work. I think for this guy, he's speaking to preferences, and he's just being honest that ideally, what a man would prefer, whether broke or wealthy, is a woman that has the best body that he saw on TV somewhere or in a porn or whatever. And that if a woman doesn't meet that standard, she should settle for a man that also doesn't meet the standard of what women have seen on TV, which is a wealthier guy, because there aren't many out there anyway. But so that's how I would set the conversation up, and that's how I'm seeing it. But I would love to know, producer, what you think.
No, I do agree with your point that it is a false equivalent. I see it slightly different. The conversation should have evolved into more of double standard that exists in the world. Whether we can do something about it or not is a different story altogether. But it is the fact that there is a double standard where one of them is accepted by everybody and the other one gets shunned aside whenever it gets presented because patriarchy and misogyny and all the numbers. Now, is it what he's saying is a fact? Who knows?
Wait, can you go back? I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which one? Identify those for us. Which one is shunned and the other one is accepted?
When a male states their preference or a man states their preference, I would say it is shunned. It is not liked. It is not wanted. In fact, they say keep that to yourself. But a woman can state their preference out loud and be just fine. It is a double standard, and it exists. There's nothing we can do about it.
When you said that, I thought you were saying a broke man or even a fat woman was accepted and the other wasn't. That's what I thought you were saying. But you were talking about just preference in and of itself is accepted from a woman but not accepted from a man.
Yes.
And that's true, and that's going to be a whole nother episode and that should be the case. But anyway, proceed.
It should be, shouldn't it? It should be. Why should it be? But this is where the false equivalency comes in, is the fact that a broke man is limited by the option that he has, and he's limited because he doesn't have the funds to expend his option to what he would even conceive or want. The other side of the argument, which is, as he called it, I'm doing quotation, a plus size woman, because he refused to say that word for some reason, because he wanted to make his point so fat.
You said
so
fat women.
Fat. So a plus size woman, on the other hand, is not limited by the same option that a broke man is. That's where the equivalency come in, because the body standard that exists don't exist for all body type, and some people are plus size and very healthy and maintain the weight and be just fine, can be married and have a gazillion kids, and there is nothing wrong with them. Because I'm going to leave that discussion for another time, because we know that it's not made on the preferences of everybody. It's made on one type of body, and everybody else just got shunned. So everybody else just end up being fat in comparison to what they would call the ideal body type. That's a discussion for another time. But as I'm saying, that a rich man has as many options as his world desire, including a plus size woman, while a broke man is limited in the option that he can have. The idea that if a broke man and a plus size woman are a match made in heaven because they are the equivalent to each other is frankly false. Because any plus size woman can say, no, you don't have enough money to feed me anyways, since you're calling me fat. So I don't believe that it is an equivalent. I understand his point of view and how shunned a man's preference can be in the world, and that's the world we live in. I don't see how we're gonna change that. And when men says it, I don't think it's what they say. It's usually how they say it. It is nasty when he said. It's never said with a sweet voice. They usually say it with bass in their voice, like, you guys are beneath me. Why would I look at you? Compared to when a woman said it. Don't get me wrong, women do say it the same way. Get your short ass away from me. So like, you don't have to do that. You know, you can just talk to him like a regular person too. You can be mean in nature whenever people state their preference, and I just believe that it's just a matter that you can have your preference, and you just need to be able to stick to your preference without putting another person down. That's what I would like to say.
So when he is talking about the aspect of the equivalency of fat women and broke men, I think about whether or not we're talking about sex or a relationship, because then I think that might change the conversation entirely. So I will say, if a man of means, or just, you know, at least middle class or some such, right? Not broke. Because broke could be a couch surfer, right? It gets a little wild and loose when we talk about broke, right? He could be homeless.
Broke is
Hobo, what's it called? Hobosexual, right?
homosexual, yes.
Right. So, okay, now
There
we're
are
talking about
devils
a man
who
with a
broke.
job and, you know, maybe a car or two and a house, right? So this guy, are we talking about who he wants to lay with or who he wants to marry? And then there might be more of a closer equivalency of fat woman, broke man than it is if we're just talking about sex. Because, you know, as a fat woman, I know sex,
Self-proclaimed.
self-proclaimed. I know that sex. He's lying.
It's not a problem. So
lying.
I'm saying it's
He's
not
lying
sex.
by
That's relation.
billion. It's not even close. That won't even work. So I'm thinking I'm like, okay, this has got to be about like marriage, like getting a ring and getting married and walking down the aisle, because he couldn't possibly, in my mind, right, as who he's describing as a broke man, if I'm, you know, looking for my equal, he's wrong if it's sex, right? It's not
Sex.
even
Sex
close to
doesn't
me.
have
It's crazy because that's just not a thing.
It's not a thing.
But if we're talking about, and not just sex one time, right? I'm talking about girlfriend, long-term sex, all the things. But a whole relationship, that is a lie. But if we're talking about marriage and even preference, right? Because there's that thing where he was talking about preference. I don't think any women much prefer a broke man at all. But many men do prefer a fat, plus size, whatever the hell we were going to call it tonight, woman. But, you know, preference notwithstanding, we're going to leave that to the side. I'm thinking sex versus relationship, right? Which relationships are important to women. So if we're talking about sex, he's wrong. That's stupid. That whole entire conversation is just not, shouldn't be on the internet. But now, if we're talking about relationships, now I would love to know, what do you think as a man? Not your idea, but men. Do you think? Then where do we go? We're not necessarily wealthy, because he said broke, but just middle class and up, and their valuation of a woman who is overweight or plus size or fat or whatever, like, would that really still stand? Because there's still so many nuances, I think, in it, and it's still not the same as a woman facing a man that can't pay for anything. And not only that, but that she has to, like, probably take care of him. You know what I'm saying? So, like, is he still wrong when we're talking about relationship, or does that give him an edge? Because with relationships, I can give him a little edge, I believe. But what do you think? As a man and their preferences when they have a little money, a little something coming in, because this is not broke now. We're talking middle class and up.
I'm thinking about it a different way. The way I'm looking at it would be the way he mentioned it, even though he didn't get into a deeper discussion, would be that those two classes should settle for each other. Because broke man doesn't have any better option anyway, so he will settle for the girl that he perceives as plus size. And plus size doesn't have any better option, so they should settle for each other, and they should be fine and happy with each other. Which I don't believe would be the case. For why would we? What do they get out of each other? What exactly are you getting out of this relationship if you're settling down for something that you might not want? Don't get me wrong. Wise bloke has many levels. You have options. Now, do you have to settle for one specific type of woman? No.
No,
And
there's
the same
plenty of
option-
broke thin women.
There's plenty out there that you can settle for. And at the same time, a plus size woman don't have to settle for a broke man because, at least I know that he won't leave me because nobody else out there want me. No, that's not true. In both sense of the word, is not true. They all have options out there if you're willing to look, if you're willing to spend the time. It's just that I don't think any of them has to settle. It's not a matter of one of them have to settle for the other, as in like the broke men will have to settle for a plus size woman because they don't have any better option out there, and the plus size woman will be so happy that a broke man at least got to look their way, and they're so lucky to be blessed by his presence because she didn't have any better option.
Well, so
No.
then when you talk about that, then I think about it in terms of, like we started the conversation on. So, with, let's say, a broke man, and again, he didn't really specify what that means. So we can think homosexual or just really struggling, whatever, right? And then a plus size woman with whatever, socioeconomic aspects, because he didn't care. Woman's money didn't matter in the entire conversation, interestingly, even though in real life 70% of married women work and make 40% make more or the same as their husbands, right? So he just threw that entire part out into the street, that in reality, in real life in America, most men need a woman that's bringing money in. So there's that, but he didn't think or care about her money. The thing is I wonder if he's talking about when you look at the broke man aspect, and you said I'm thinking it's that he would go with the larger woman because she actually has money, right, to help him with, and she has the aspects, intelligence, whatever, to raise him up, versus him going with a thin broke woman, right? Because you're right, he has options. This shouldn't even be a conversation. Oh, you don't like fat women? No problem. Go to the local Goodwill and date you a thin broke woman that's standing outside of the Goodwill looking for something to do, right? But
When was
that's
the
not
last
what
time you
he's
saw?
talking about.
When was the last time you saw a plus size broke woman? I'll wait.
Right, right, exactly. But that's not what he's talking about. He's talking about broke men need to partner with fat woman, but he never talks about all the thin women he passes along that are broke too. You don't have to have a fat lady. Go get a thin lady. They're there. They have no money. They're standing outside of McDonald's begging. Okay, good. Nobody bothered you. Right?
His
So
point
there's
will make
that.
if he's talking about the few minority of both broke and plus size women. If he's talking about that minority alone, I'll be like, okay, all right.
No. He just went for men's pockets versus a woman's body and left everything very vague because, like I said, I think
But
the
I don't-
equivalent request is you have something and I don't, but because your body doesn't look like a TV, you should just, dip down and save me. And then when I'm on my feet, then there's that, right? But I was like, oh, that's interesting. But as far as the plus size woman is concerned, though, she has so many more options than a broke man when it comes to sex, and when it comes to marriage, she has options still because she has the men who prefer a curvier, plus size, or even fat or obese woman, because they exist. And she has also the option of remaining single. And the third option she has is to lose weight.
Listen,
So
have you seen the show 600 Pound Life? They're never single. They're never single.
on both sides, I've noticed actually too. But yeah.
Which means that, hey, they're out there and their chances are much better than broke men. So
Yeah, well, that just speaks to how unrealistically stupid the internet can be. And people are
Well,
just saying things to say things, I think.
I mean, he did say things, but they never got to the point
Yeah.
because they both got stuck on that one sentence that he said. But he said it with so much conviction that you gotta applaud him. So much gusto.
Yeah. He said it with his chest. But you know what, though? I gather to believe that he's one of those men who seek out plus size women.
Possibly.
And I can tell from his weight.
Right, he's thin.
Those are the very ones. And I think what he actually is doing is a cry for help, because
He's not crying at all. He looks pretty happy
No,
saying it.
this is the thing. Those guys think that they are entitled to the affection and attention of a plus size woman, and when we shun them or ignore them, they're like, but you're fat. Yeah, so you're not it. And I think that's what it is. I think actually he's gone after so many fat women till he is flabbergasted why they wouldn't want to be with him. And he called himself a broke inward, I think, if I'm not mistaken, at one point.
You know.
I think I heard
Hey.
that.
Yeah, man. He's looking for his match. He's equivalent.
and they're like, no, good on you, because they do have options. So he actually hinted of himself, if he looks at his life, I believe, and I'm putting a lot on him, but I believe he was a chubby chaser because he thought that what he could get it, and he couldn't. And he realized, oh my God, fat women have preferences and standards. How dare they? They're not like
I
the
think
TV show.
I think he gets some. I think he get what he's looking for. He may not be able to lock down the one that he lost. Damn you! But I think I'm just saying. I think he's just saying stuff.
No,
on the
I
internet.
think to get to that point of, like you said, the bravado of
Nah,
saying
man, you
fat
got to say it with his own
women,
chest.
I'm telling you, I think he's coming from a place of bitterness where he's had so many fat women say no, and he's like, you can't say no, you're fat. Just like some guys say, you're ugly. Why are you, or whatever thing they think that would cause a woman to be vulnerable to their advances. I believe he's a chubby chaser, and they passed him by because he's ugly. And God help him, he just couldn't stand it. That's what I think.
Ain't nothing wrong with a chubby chasing. It's good.
I didn't say there was anything wrong with it. I'm saying that he didn't get the results that he was hoping for. And,
It's possible.
And
Possible.
so now he's taken his mission on the road. And
Cried-
he's saying
cried
all the
for
things.
help?
Yeah, he's saying like, oh, but you're the same as a broke man, so you should just, I think that's what's going on because he's ugly, and I don't see a lot of thin, good-looking women wanting him anyway. And so he probably went after good-looking. Plus, I think
You don't have to.
Huh?
Why does he have to be ugly?
he is. But well, he is. He's very ugly.
Why does he have to be ugly?
He is, and I like thin men actually. So I'm not shunning his body type. I can't shun anybody's type. I have body type too, but I'm just saying like I can smell what he's stepping in. But the thing is that he probably was going after, because this is another thing that people never talk about. There is body type preference, and then there's also beauty, and you can find beauty in a lot of body types. And so
Yep.
just because the body type doesn't look like TV, it doesn't mean that the person isn't still, in your opinion, beautiful, pretty, gorgeous, cute, whatever. And so he was probably going after larger women that were pretty, gorgeous, beautiful, or whatever, that a lot of men, are interested in. And so when they look at him, they're like, no, I'm good. And he's just like, what, but your body. And they're like, that's not how it works in the world. So there's that too. There's a lot of things that can be said. What do you
It's
think
possible.
about that?
I ain't gonna put it on my man's though. That man said it with his chest. Let him live.
No, but what do you think about that? Do you think it's just the body, or could it be other aspects?
I don't know why people usually just assume or presume that just because you're plus size, you're not pretty, and they just don't assume that beauty has nothing to do with your body type. So.
Mm-hmm.
And if you even look at it further, beauty most of the time don't have to do with what you look on the outside. But I guess that's a different conversation. So,
Yeah.
so it's people just put too much on the word and just stick with that. And it has nothing to do what your body type is. Yes, you can be heavyweight and plus side and fluffy and everything else in between, but it doesn't change who you are as a person or what you look like on the inside and on the outside.
Well, we're not talking about on the inside, Dr. Phil. We're talking about on the outside, and I'm saying
But the part that matters.
if a fat lady is pretty, there will be more options for her. And if you're going after a fat lady that's pretty, and Brokey Ugly is going for a fat lady that's pretty, he's gonna be told no, because there's so many good looking, ripped up, all the things guys that go for a fat lady who's pretty. So
Well,
like
you know
that's
what?
what makes him wrong, in their
know-
eyes, because that's their experience, because they get talked to all the time. And again, that might bring us back to the conversation of sex. I get that, but I'm just saying it's kind of hard, because people say they want a relationship, whatever, and it's really just like that's fine. But I'm just saying, like, that makes it very tricky, because if she's pretty, sure, get in the back of the line. I don't care how fat she is. I don't care if she has 7 stomachs. If she's pretty, people are in her face. It's just how it is.
It's true. And you know what they say? I don't think his loss is alone on the saying. It's not over until the fat lady sings. So.
You had to.
And just like that, the producer is out.
All right. Thank you for joining.
Yo.
Hey, honey, what are you doing? You had to. I can't with you anymore.
Huh?
You had to. You just had to add the fat lady singing, didn't you?
Hey, come on, man.
Amiguita, it's almost 10 o'clock. You're still awake? Okay. Are you going to be able to wake up on time? Yeah. Okay. Never seen you this late. I've got Earl Grey too. All right, autism. Don't do that. You had to. You had to let the fat lady sing, didn't you?
That's right. And why didn't you want to look at me? Well, I couldn't stop looking at you and smiling the whole time.
Look at you what?
You couldn't look at me through the camera, huh?
No.
Why?
I have to talk to the producer, not you, Andy.
Excuse me.
I looked at you. Oh, you mean see you?
Yes, see me.
Because you won't be on camera. I'm the one naked and vulnerable out here. You're just hiding behind the producer, whoever the hell that is.
I'm hiding behind the producer because I look like a bum and a broke N-word.
You look like the producer.
No, I do not.
Yes, you do too. Oh, well, what the hell does the producer look like in your head?
Like a DJ.
Okay, look, producer. That's what the producers look like. Have you ever watched the show?
Out of this shirt look like Jerry pulled it 17 times.
Okay, if I could put on a shirt, can't you? I don't understand. I'm on camera. I can't do 10. I don't want to, like, train my eyes away. It's not because I don't look at. But you know what I mean? Like, it looks bad if I keep going. And I want to look at you. I want to look at you, but I can't do that. I have to stay this way.
You didn't want me to wink at you and then you'd be like, oh my God, no, stop it.
No, that's in your head. Look, I can't do that. I gotta go this way for the audience, darling.
I'm kidding, but I was.
Did you think about that though?
What?
Camera 1, camera 2, camera 1, camera. I can't do that. I have to turn you away because I want to look at you.
So no, you'll be working at, or you'll be looking at 3 cameras, all directions.
I want to look at you, but I can't, so I have to turn you away so I don't look at you. But I'm looking at you on this one because you're on the on the thing. You saw me, right?
Yeah, I did. I saw you.
Okay then.
Look fucking gorgeous, by the way.
You're so sweet.
I am not being sweet. I'm trying to get in your panties.
You already did. It's too late. But that's why I can't do that.
Alright, so you ready?
Night night, darling.
You recorded it? It's done?
Yeah. I mean, I don't need an outro. We said what we said, right?
Uh-huh.
So I'm gonna stop.